You've got to click some kind of clicky thing and like make it live on YouTube or something. Is that what you do?
Yes, and when I hear an echo, I know that I'm sending us out there. So
You've got to click some kind of clicky thing and
let's see if
like
it's gonna.
make it live on YouTube or something. Is that what you do?
Yes, and when I hear an echo, I know that I'm sending us.
I
There we
hear
go.
I hear an echo now. Did it disappear? I think it's
It did
gone.
because I went ahead and I closed that son of a gun.
Okay.
So we have some of the usual suspects, and perhaps maybe just give that a couple of minutes. Is that all right?
Yeah, give it a couple minutes to
So
see what else comes
we're
in.
just gonna get ourselves in the mood. Woo! Hey! All right now. Ooh, it is spring, and you know, I think in addition to this being from the 70s, I think our senior showgirl might be in her 70s, but I'll probably get in trouble if she hears me say that out loud.
Tommy says he's on YouTube and he's listening there.
All
He
right.
says it sounds good. That's cool.
Excellent.
All
So
right.
I've got my winder cracked here. So I'm, as Antivir would say, I'm podcasting with windows open.
That's right. I am too.
Woo-hoo.
Just a crack, but it is open. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go turn my fan off because believe it or not, my microphone picks up that damn fan. So
you guys heard it first here. Despite the restraining order, Toppy has a fan in his home.
So I'll let you chat with the people here and I'll be right back.
Okay, so this is our Carol Burnett moment. We're going to take a few questions from the audience. If we can get folks to, turn their attention away from what else they're doing, because I know a few of you are probably listening and multitasking, and well, I'm not going to shame anyone because that's just living la vida loca these days. So, but we've got some of the usual suspects here in the Marionette. We've got Lady Janet, got Tommy Hashbrowns, yours truly. I think our senior showgirl is coming around the bend. Yep, I hear her ride coming around. So in a few moments we might be ready to get going.
Hey, you know what, DJ? For reals today, and I have not seen this in a million years, but somebody had an ice cream truck that they were riding around, possibly with that tune, although I'm not sure, but something similar. And I have not seen that in years. But and whoever had this truck, it was all hand painted, all the signage, so this was clearly, somebody doing something entrepreneurial, and they had that song. They had a song like that, and it was an ice cream truck.
Oh, how cute. When I was a kid, we didn't have an ice cream truck. We had the Schwann's truck.
Oh, God, yeah.
If for those of you who are unaware, here in the Northeast, there's a chain of frozen food companies.
Seriously.
They come around with a truck that has a swan on it, but their name is Schwann's. And, well, for those folks that are trying to feed a large family, they're more than happy to load your freezer up from their truck.
Right. And by the way, this was years and years and years before all of this stuff you can get online now.
Oh,
all those foods. I mean, really, Schwann, that was out there way before any of that.
Well, sir, it's a couple of minutes past. I think that we will get the evening started.
Let's get her going.
Okay, going right in.
Wash, working at the car wash. Yeah.
Dirty. What happened in here? Why are these suds and bubbles all over everywhere?
Oh, funny thing about Yeah. Well, the laundromat next door had some plumbing problems, and well, I guess we have an air vent, and yeah, well, it just sucked it all in. But look, the place has never been cleaner. No, just get a mop, please. We don't need anyone slipping on our dime. Well, not that we have one. No, kiddo, I'll just grab Mr. Fred Astaire here, and we'll have it taken care of in a jiffy. You named our mop? What? I was bored, so sue me.
Womp womp.
Hey there. Oh, it is a Friday evening, and we're in our usual places to talk about those hits that fell from the box office. And, this one here tonight is a listener request. Yes, we got a little letter in the mailbox from our good friend Tommy up there in the Great White North of North Maple.
Excellent.
So we will be talking about that in a moment. But yes, Toppy, it is May, and we like to mark the occasion and just kind of talk about what's happening this month. Now, Mother's Day is this weekend. Do you have plans with Sweet Mama?
Well, a little bit. I always have to work on Sunday, which is Mother's Day, and so it's hard to be involved in any kind of planning for a party per se. And I sort of usually come in later in the day if we do have a party. Anyways, it's fine. It's probably gonna happen. But I've already today, DJ, I already went to a little steer to buy some flowers for my sweet Mamo.
Oh.
And I got her a hanging basket of the plant called fuchsia, which isn't so much about its color as in these lovely blossoms that are very fancy and hanging down. Anyways, it's lovely, and I'll be presenting it to her on Sunday.
Oh, well, we'll be dropping by Mama Billy's. We've been requested to be present, and I had a day that's gone by. The sun is set. I used to do technical support, and you can only take so much of that when people blame you for everything going wrong in their lives. But now and then I feel generous, and I help out my sweet mother-in-law with what ails her, and sometimes it's something I've given her. We gave her for combination of Easter and her birthday, which was just recently. We got her one of those little magical Amazon boxes. I'm not going to say the word because people have devices that respond to it, but she and I are sending messages back and forth to each other, and she lives in an apartment in the city, and sometimes her power goes out unexpectedly, and it's probably just going to be unplugging it, plugging it back in. But she wants help with her Amazon box, so I'll figure it out for her.
Box, okay.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to update her iPad too, because the folks at the Apple store, they're not going to do it for you because they expect people to have a real computer at home, which she's never had one. And I'm just going to take my laptop there. But anyways, a few other things that happened this month. It's ALS Awareness Month, which is, of course, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's Celiac Disease Awareness Month, which means for those who can't eat wheat, people who are gluten-free have celiac disease. It's also Jewish American Heritage Month. I recently watched on Netflix, Toppy. There's a show called Russian Doll that came out a few years ago, and they got a second season. And the actress who does that show, she also writes it, and I think produces it. Her grandparents were Holocaust survivors, so part of the story actually takes her back to the old country. And lastly, but certainly not least, May is also Asian American Heritage Month, and I think it's also Native Hawaiian, and there's one other nationality that's part of that. But as I'm a big nerd, I could just name out all of my favorite Asian American actors like George Takei and Margaret Cho, and well, I could go on and on. But
All
hey,
right. Cool.
I do believe that I saw our senior showgirl sneaking in the back there. Can you look over at the balcony and see if she's down there at the stage?
Okay, I think she is.
I'm here. Let's get her going.
All righty.
Okay, I guess she's ready.
And here we go.
Jessica and Mary are sisters, but their lives couldn't be more different. Jessica lives in the lap of luxury, and Mary is a middle-class housewife starting over with her construction worker husband. Together, the two share eccentric families that make life complicated, if not interesting. It's an evening time spoof on daytime drama. Grab your bathrobe and a vacuum cleaner. We're going to get some stories in. It's time for Soap with Katherine Hellman and Richard Mulligan. Get it, boys.
What do you get when you take a dash of the silver screen? A pinch of golden oldies and a smidgen of screaming. It's time for Matinee Minutia with your host DJ and Toppy.
Okay, so Toppy, tonight we're talking about a late 70s comedy drama TV series that was on ABC, the American Broadcast Company.
Yeah, and I believe we're talking 1977, aren't we?
We sure are, and that might have been the year that I was no longer just a glimmer in someone's eye.
Really? Well, I'd been around for a while, but DJ, we're going to set the stage tonight a little bit different way than we usually do, because both of us feel like a little bit of talk about the history of soap operas in general is due here before we begin with soap. So what do you got to say about that, DJ?
Alrighty, so this is a brief history on soap operas. In the US, the first daytime drama was on NBC. It was filmed in Chicago, called These Are My Children. Now, I know I've probably heard similar names for all the shows that have been out there since, but this show started in 1949. It only lasted possibly a couple of months. And while there were some other shows that came before it, those aired on later hours of the day. So this was a daytime show. And that particular story for These Are My Children centered on an Irish widow, Mrs. Hanahan. No, I did not say Hannigan. I'm not talking about Annie.
No.
And Mrs. Hanahan and her struggles to run a boarding house, as well as help her 3 children and new daughter-in-law, Jean. Well, sounds like something we could have done today. And in addition to critical opinions, everyone's got one. The immediate factor in NBC's cancellation of These Are My Children was the decision by AT&T, Ma Bell, because, big companies have big pockets, and they basically said, we're not going to let you use our broadcast cable to send shows east. And so they put the kibosh on that. Speaking of Jewish American Heritage Month here.
There you go.
So what was that next show in the history there, Toppy?
Well, tell us about a little soap called Hawkins Falls. What was that all about, Deej?
Alrighty. Well, Hawkins Falls, though it was not the first original soap opera that didn't start on the radio, it was the first to be successful. Now, Hawkins Falls ran for more than 5 years, and it was sponsored by Unilever. Yes, it's a mega corporation that owns lots of brands. Unilever. And it was by their blue detergent or their laundry detergent, Surf.
Yo,
And,
Surf.
yes, and the jury is still out on if you can still buy that. I guess it depends on where you live. The program began as a 1-hour comedy drama on June 17th, 1950. So once the kiddos were out and Mama had her hands full, they started Hawkins Falls. And let's see, it ran on primetime on NBC until October of that year. But then on April of the next year, the series was moved to a 15-minute daytime slot, and it was retitled Hawkins Falls, a television novel. It was developed into soap opera format, what we know today. And Hawkins Falls ran until July 55. So 5 years it ran like that, making it NBC's longest running soap opera until a little show called The Doctors, which had a long run, and it succeeded Hawkins Falls. It's a long-running soap opera in 1967. And The Doctors actually ran up until the early 80s there in 1982. So, just shortly after Soap was off the air.
Mm-hmm.
And the current longest running soap opera in production is General Hospital. This premiered on ABC in April of 1963. General Hospital became the oldest American soap opera on September of 2010, following the final broadcast of CBS's As the World Turns. And in April of 2011, ABC announced the cancellations of 2 long-running shows, All My Children and One Life to Live, which left General Hospital as the last soap opera on the network after January of 2012. And the show celebrated its 50th anniversary on April 1st of 2013. Could you read that last bit about General Hospital, Toppy?
Yeah, General Hospital, longest running serial produced in Hollywood, longest running entertainment program in ABC television history, started airing as a half hour until 1976, where it expanded from 30 minutes. This is weird, folks, because I don't know how they did this. They expanded from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. What did they do with that extra 15 minutes? What was on TV? I don't know. But anyways, in 1976, they finally expanded to a full hour. And General Hospital has been listed in the Guinness World Book Records as the longest running American soap in production, and the second in American history after Guiding Light. Concurrently, it is the world's third longest running scripted drama in production after the British serials The Archers and Coronation Street, as well as the world's second longest running televised soap opera until that's still in production. It holds the record for the most Daytime Emmy Awards for Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Drama Series with 14 wins. Can you believe it?
Oh. All right. So Soap, and this is the show we're talking about tonight, ABC 1977. Tell us a little bit more about Soap there, Toppy.
All right. So way back then, there were tons of soaps on TV. There are most of them, as you can hear from what we said, they're gone. But at that time, soaps were still big for the networks, and there were a lot of them. And ABC thought, I don't know. I think there's material that we could plumb from soaps and make a sitcom. And that's what they tried to do. It ran on ABC from September 1977 all the way until 1981. It was created as a nighttime parody of daytime soaps, and it was presented as a weekly half-hour prime time comedy, a sitcom. And similar to a soap opera, the show's story was presented in a serial format, which was pretty, well, unique for a weekly sitcom. And it featured melodramatic plot lines, including, get this, kids, here's the comedy in the show. The plot lines included alien abduction, demonic possessions. Well, of course, there was the extramarital affairs, which were common to soaps, murder, kidnapping. Soap had unknown diseases, and amnesia, not to mention cults, organized crime, warfare, and a little bit of a communist revolution that was part of a plot for a while, and teacher-student relationships. In 2007, Soap was listed as one of Time Magazine's 100 best shows of all time. And in 2010, the Tates and the Campbells ranked at number 17 in TV Guide's list of TV's top families.
Ooh.
And just a brief after-mentioned, Soap had a very, very successful spin-off series called Benson, and it starred the breakout star from Soap, Robert Guillaume, as he was a butler on Soap, and he went on to do a show called Benson on ABC from 79 to 86, and it ran a full 5 years longer than its predecessor, Soap. So even more successful was Benson. So there you go.
And without Benson, we wouldn't have the beginning of the careers of several Star Trek actors. I had to get it in there. I did.
Well, we always come around to Star Trek on this little shoe.
We have, of course, Mr. Rene Auberjonois, because I love saying that name, and Ethan Phillips. Both were part of Benson. And,
that's right. Yeah.
And for those of you who are staying after class, if you look hard enough, in the first couple of seasons, Michael Keaton's first wife plays the governor's secretary.
Ha. All right, there you go. Well, we're going into 77, so let me just mention some of the voices of celebrities in 77.
Besides me?
Well, were you DJ?
Real quick story.
Are you going to tell me you were born in 77?
Oh, of course.
Oh my God!
I know. Out of the mouths of babes.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. That's just, oh my God.
And to boot, I'm a New Year's baby.
Yeah.
So real, maybe not so quick, but as quick as I can try to tell the story. I used to get introduced to people who I had no idea who they were, but basically it's like being runner-up of the dairy fair, because you get to appear at supermarkets and cut ribbons and all that jazz. But I used to get introduced as the first baby born in our county, basically, of the tricentennial, because 76 was the bicentennial. And 77 was the first year into the new century of America. So I was the first baby of our county in the tricentennial. And I'm like, woo, is that even going to get me a cup of coffee at Jenny's?
Maybe not, but hey, listen, I mean, you gotta take what you can get. Celebrity births besides you.
Yeah.
God damn, I can't believe you were born in 77. Anyways, also born in 77 was Robert Thicke.
Okay, Robin Thicke, and talk about
I'm sorry.
Taking it where you can get it. This man, let's just say he has some talent, but he has been brought up on charges of plagiarizing some of his music.
Okay. See, I confuse him with Alan Thicke, but anyways,
that's his daddy.
Oh, okay. All right. Also, Annie Worshing.
Mhm.
She was the Borg Queen on Star Trek Picard, by the way. Also, Sarah Michelle Gellar. We know her because she's the fabulous Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was born in 1977. Yeah. John Cena, wrestler at Cena.
Mhm.
Okay. He was in the movie The Punisher. And
Well, the recent Disney Marvel series, The Punisher.
Okay, thank you. Because oddly enough, for this character, there's been a lot of Punisher movies. One had John Travolta, believe it or not. Anyways, let's not talk about that. Also born in 1977, Zachary Quinto. He was in Heroes. He was in American Horror Story. And also, here we go, Star Trek, Spock in the recent Star Trek films. Liv Tyler, born in 1977, daughter of musician Steven Tyler. Randy Harrison, he was an actor in Queer as Folks.
He was the twink on Queer as Folk.
All right. Well, we know we love him then. Brittany Murphy from Girl Interrupted. She was also the voice of Luann on King of the Hill, the animated series, long running. So there you go. DJ, in 1977, Soap was airing. What was the competition?
All right. So get out your rabbit ears, folks, because we're going to tune in some 70s TV shows. And, who's to say people had cable then? In 77, Soap aired Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. So, if I was old enough to be in school, I'd be in bed then because, you got to get up at the crack of dawn. But it was on ABC.
All right. So this is fair because I'm older. I was able to stay up later. There you go, DJ. I'm sorry. I was able to stay up later.
Were you talking about Soap and Study Hall?
Some were. Yeah.
And of course, Soap in 77, when it started, aired after Toppy's favorite sitcom, Three's Company. Girls! Oh, wait, that's a different one. And over on the Big Brother CBS, was One Day at a Time with Bonnie Tyler.
Okay, that was much smarter than Three's Company. Go ahead.
I'm forgetting her name, but
Bonnie Franklin.
Oh, Bonnie Franklin.
She could fit 20 tennis balls in her mouth. I'm just telling you right now.
Right, Bonnie Franklin. And I'm forgetting her name, but one of the actresses that played her daughter,
Valerie Bertinelli.
Yes, Valerie Bertinelli, of course, would later, many years later, go on to be on TV show with Betty White on TV Land.
Yeah, that's true. She was also in 1 million TV movies, made for TV movies. Anyways, Valerie
she paid her
Bertinelli.
bills the lifetime way. All right. So over on NBC, Peacock in 77. Now, I know I'm not lying when I say this. It was one of Toppy's favorites.
And you know it.
The Man from Atlantis, and it starred Mr. Heartthrob himself that was later on Dallas, Mr. Patrick Duffy.
Now, listen, folks, I'm just telling you, Patrick Duffy was in fine form at this age. And I was one to visit the hour-long dramas rather than the half-hour sitcoms. And this little particular, The Man from Atlantis, while it was short-lived, I remember it so well. And by the way, The Man from Atlantis was this guy that came from undersea, and he had webbed hands and webbed toes. So there's that for all the kink you can get out of that. Anyways, go on with Soap. What happened then?
Okay, so then after its first season, Soap was moved to Thursdays instead of Tuesdays. But it was still at 9:30, and in those days over on CBS, Hawaii 5-0. Speaking of our Native Hawaiian Heritage Month here.
Hello, I'm Jack Lard.
And over on the Peacock was I'm forgetting his name from
Jack
the
Klugman.
Jack Klugman from The Odd Couple was in Quincy, ME, which
Yep.
I forget what the ME stands for. But anyways,
Medical examiner.
medical examiner. Oh, so he was one of the guys that would have a sandwich when he was opening up a dead body.
Kind of. Yeah.
That's the typical, setting for a forensics show.
Well,
Somebody's always got to have food while the others are getting grossed out by the body.
well, that kind of was the theme of Quincy. Everyone would get grossed out and he'd be eating a sandwich,
And then in the final season of Soap, which was I think 1981, it was moved to Mondays. Oh, the nail in the coffin, 10 p.m.
No.
And over on the Big Brother CBS, well, it was a spinoff of Mary Tyler Moore. It was Lou Grant.
There you go. By that time, Lou Grant, the famous character from Mary Tyler Moore, that became a 1-hour drama, really, about the newspaper industry. Anyways, all this moving around of Soap should tell you that perhaps the ratings were up and down, and they were. And the network tried to improve things by positioning them over the years in different time slots. That helped or didn't help, but eventually, of course, the show was canceled. But let's talk about the creator, the producer. Her name, and this is really kind of inspiring and wonderful. It's a woman, Susan Harris, American television writer, producer, creator. She did Soap, 77 to 81. Folks, she did The Golden Girls from 85 to 92. Susan Harris, between 95 and 98. She was one of the most prolific television writers, creating 13, count them, 13 comedy series. Well, they didn't all do that well. But in 2011, she was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, rightly so. Over the years prior, she wrote way back then, before she became a creator and producer. She wrote for Love American Style. She wrote for All in the Family. She wrote for The Partridge Family. And she did a nifty TV adaptation of Neil Simon's Barefoot in the Park.
I wonder.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wonder if that one was the one I saw on HBO. There was one with, forgive me, the actor who played John Boy.
All of a sudden, his name is, yeah. Okay, maybe. I don't know about that. The last thing I'll say about Susan Harris, this writer and producer and creator, is that maybe the one episode she's most famous for would come from Maude in the 1970s with B. Arthur. And it was an episode about abortion. And she won the Humanitas Prize for that. And lots, it was one of those episodes that stuck with the American conscience. And here we are, folks. 2022, and the Supreme Court, this leaked thing, and I can't even believe it, but maybe canceling out federal protection for abortions is on the horizon, and it's really hard to believe.
But in hindsight, if you want some reflection on the times, Maude is available to watch. The first 2 seasons can be found on Tubi, my favorite free service.
Me too. Folks, if you haven't found Tubi, you better get on it.
tubi.tv. You can use it on your phone, your laptop, and on your smart TV. But yeah, I actually have been watching Maude because I've seen the discs in the stores, and they have the first couple of seasons on there, and I did get to see the 2-parter actually, abortion episode that Susan Harris wrote, and it was quite interesting to see that done in the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is groundbreaking stuff, and Susan Harris wrote groundbreaking stuff. And she was perfect for, because Soap, if we haven't mentioned yet, was groundbreaking material.
Sure was. Now we are at actually about the halfway point. So we're going to sneak on over here to our refreshment stand, where Gertie is going to be hopefully serving us some not soapy treats.
Oh, come on. It's all cleaned up. There you go.
We have a clip from the I think it's the Television Factory Academy, something or other. Anyways, this is a clip with Billy Crystal talking about his character of Jody on Soap.
From the general audience, great. There was some gay groups that were upset that he was on a stereotype and so on, and we corrected that. I felt it, and we made him more real. And the proof of it was, as we went on, he gets jilted at the altar. He has a one-night thing with this woman, which ends up producing a baby, and he decides to do the honorable thing and marry her. He was confused, Now that was fun stuff to play, because it felt like that was a good way to have him eventually come to terms with who he was. And when they had the baby, they did a poll, and the America in this poll wanted Jody to have the baby. And I thought that was the victory. I thought that was the big thing, was that they trusted a gay man with a child in this poll that ABC did at the time. So it was difficult. Not in the studio. Everyone was great. It was the world was remarking about this guy. And even if it was favorable, it still was, oh, there's the gay guy from. It was always a label that was a little uncomfortable at the time, to go through. Because again, it was 40 years ago. It was really different. I was really proud of what we did on the show. And it was during that show that the run of it, that Bob Guillaume and I became very close. And Bob,
who played Benson,
who was the out and out runaway star of the show, and spun off to do his own show, and he left us. And Bob was a very proud African-American man. And we had lunch one day, and I said, he was always meet me in the parking lot when we pulled up to go to work, and he'd look at me and go, "You're still here, huh?" We had this funny little, "You're still here?" And we were talking, and I said, we're both playing minorities. We're both minorities in this. I said, we both have responsibilities in this. And you're playing, this really funny, wisecracking guy, but he is a butler, and he works for the white man. And I'm a gay man who, we have a lot in common here. And that discussion with him was very powerful for both of us. And it was at that point, after that, when we would do scenes in front of live audience, and some of them were, I sometimes had difficult material to navigate. He'd be the first one over to the set when I'd come off after finishing the scene to say, "Good job." And that forever bonded us because of what I said to him. I said, we're both minorities in this.
DJ, I want to say,
Mhm.
not to minimize what this interview revealed. It was sort of quickly passed over, but there was a lot of criticism for Billy Crystal, um, for his portrayal and for the show's betrayal of a gay man. And but it's true what he said is that they listened and they got better. So that's very, very true. Uh, Billy Crystal's character, went through a lot of stages because listen, there's freaking 1977 and later. How early is that to tackle a gay character? That's pretty spectacular.
And for folks, Toppy and I were talking behind the curtain before the show, and it's just quite interesting about the presentation, the introduction of gay characters in television in these time frames, because I remember watching in reruns some of the daytime dramas, or actually I think they were the evening dramas like Falcon Crest and Dynasty, when some of the kind of rerun nostalgia channels came out, FX, because they showed Wonder Woman in the 90s. But anyways, I was talking to Toppy about a character I remember who was the son, the boy wonder of the millionaire in, I want to say it was Falcon Crest, and he was supposed to be gay. And I think that show aired in the 80s. And of course, they quickly changed their tune with that one because dear old Dadu, did in his boyfriend. There was a scene that they cut the camera away on, but it was suggested that his dad grabbed some of the tools at the fireplace, and yeah, no more boyfriend. So
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Holy God. I never followed that, so I have no clue. Dynasty also had a gay character, some kid, son of whoever.
Well, fortunately, by the time the 90s came, which, it was a good while later, but I was in junior high, and we came up with a spinoff of 90210, Melrose Place. And I want to say, outside of shows like MTV Real World, which was a reality show, Melrose Place might have been one of the first TV shows that was allowed to have an openly gay character. And he wasn't just flamboyant. He actually wore a leather jacket and he rode a motorcycle.
But leave us not forget, certainly Soap was a trendsetter that, ABC didn't have to deal with this if they didn't want to. And there probably was a lot of gnashing of teeth on the executive side, but somehow it came out with Billy Crystal's character, and that nothing but groundbreaking. But DJ, we've got a lot of cast members that we need to talk about. Mm-hmm. Why don't you talk about Katherine Hellman, who played Jessica Tate?
Oh, I would love to. She is the grande dame of Soap. Miss Katherine Hellman, who played Jessica. She was born in Galveston, Texas, so she's a Texas gal. That little town that's an island in the Gulf. All the kids go to spring break there.
Yeah.
Well, she took a job at a local theater while she was still in high school. She was hammering and sawing the scenery, so she was set building. And she cleaned the bathrooms. And,
listen, hey, I got, she's my soulmate. Definitely.
She operated a summer theater in the Catskills because, when you need to be up and coming in your career, you go to the Catskills because that's where all the comedy acts are. For 3 seasons, she was there and taught acting in university theater programs. Now, Katherine Hellman made her TV debut in 1962 but had to wait another 10 years until her breakthrough came in the 70s. Why? Well, probably because she was a woman. Soap was her 32nd television series.
Jesus, 30 seconds.
Yeah, she knew her way around craft services. Just prior, Helmond was a guest on one of my favorite shows, The Bionic Woman with Jamie Summers. Well, actually, it's Lindsay Wagner, of course. And in 84, she was cast as Mona. How I came to know her, the mother of the housekeeper, or the mother of the housekeeper's boss on Who is the Boss, Tony Danza's show. And in the 5 years after Soap, Helmond would appear in 5 more TV series and 1 more film. It was called Time Bandits in 81. Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention my favorite program with Katherine Helmond.
Okay.
It was a little film that I showed Toppy on the big screen here at Chateau Star Sage. And it had Goldie Hawn, and it was called Overboard with Kurt Russell. And Katherine Helmond played the rich mama. And that was just golden because she's on the phone with her daughter, and the maid is helping her out, and she's scolding the maid, and she says, "You don't shove the food down Shitaki's throat. You place it on her tongue. Don't they have dogs in Sweden?"
That was precious. Well, let's talk about Robert Mandan, who played Chester Tate, born in Missouri, began acting on television in the 60s. Sitcom appearances prior to Soap included an auctioneer in the 1972 premiere episode of Sanford and Son, believe it or not. And later, in an episode of All in the Family, he was the attorney, Mr. Morrison. And he was Maud's gay friend, Barry, on a 1974 episode of Maud. He also appeared in the Barnaby Jones. Oh, Barnaby Jones. Wait a minute. Barnaby Jones was... Who was that?
Oh, that was the guy who played Jed Clampett.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Buddy
Oh,
Epson.
my God. What's his name? Buddy Epson.
Yes.
There you go.
The original Scarecrow.
Yeah, that's right. That's a whole different story. Barnaby Jones, Buddy Epson. He was in an episode titled Counterfall. Oh, and Killer on Campus, and guest starred in an episode of the Western series Sarah, starring Brenda Vaccaro. Hi, I'm Brenda Vaccaro. I had a career on stage. I don't know how anyone heard me with this voice on stage, but believe it or not, I had a career on stage.
I owe my voice to Virginia Slims.
Now stop it. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea. Anyways, Brenda Vaccaro. By the way, I watched Sarah, which was like a one season. It didn't last more than 13 episodes, but I loved it. And Brenda, that was my introduction to Brenda Vaccaro. And then I loved her in Airport 77. But anyways, that's an entirely different thing. Who are we talking about, TJ?
Mr. Robert Mandan.
Okay, yeah, he played Mr. He played Mr. Kirby in the 1979 NBC television adaptation of You Can't Take It With You, and the ineffective but well-meaning Colonel Fielding in the 1981 TV adaptation of, I didn't even know they did this, DJ, Private Benjamin.
Yes, Eileen Brennan, Toppy.
Yeah, did she do the TV series too?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that. Robert Mandan also had roles in 2 movies in 1982 as school principal Walter J. Coolidge in Zapped. Oh, my God.
Oh, the last thing Scott Baio did before entering the voting booth.
Please, I'm going to vomit. And also Senator Charles Wingwood in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which wasn't much better. In 1982, he also played Henry's older brother, Bill Rush, in, I think, the TV series Too Close for Comfort.
Oh, I
Wasn't that a
love
TV
that.
series?
I love that show, Toppy. The main character, the head of the household, was a dad who was a cartoon artist.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us about Richard Mulligan in Soap.
Alrighty, sir. So Richard Mulligan, he played Mr. Campbell, and this was Mary's second husband, the construction worker. Richard Mulligan was best known for his roles in television as Burt Campbell, and that was on Soap, of course, from 77 to 81. He won a Best Actor Emmy Award. And as Dr. Harry Weston, like the hotel chain, in the NBC series Empty Nest, which was a spinoff of The Golden Girls. And his character appeared in a few episodes in that show. I think he was kind of a neighbor, if I remember right. Empty Nest ran for 7 seasons. And Mulligan won a Best Actor Emmy Award, as well as a Golden Globe Award for his performance on that show. He also played the Secretary of State William Seward in a film from 88 called Lincoln, about Lincoln. And it was a TV movie based on Gore Vidal's novel. So Toppy, we have a up and coming comic that was featured in Soap. It's where he got his start. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Billy Crystal.
There you go, Billy Crystal. You all guys know him. American actor, comedian. He became a writer. He became a producer, film director. He gained prominence in the 70s and 80s for primarily his role in Soap as Jody Dallas. And also, he became a frequent cast member of Saturday Night Live, and he hosted it frequently. Then Crystal went through an amazing stage of film where he starred in many critical and box office successes, such as Running Scared in 86, The Princess Bride in 87, Throw Mama from the Train, also 87, Memories of Me in 88, his big one, When Harry Met Sally, remember that, in 89, City Slickers, who could forget that, with Jack Palance in 1991, Mr. Saturday Night in 92, Analyze This in 99, and Parental Guidance in 2012, a string of amazing box office successes for Billy Crystal. And let's talk about the final guy, not the end of the cast of Soap, which was vast, but a guy we can't forget, DJ Robert Guillaume.
Okay, so Mr. Robert Guillaume is an American actor and singer. And actually, we should mention that several of the members of the cast of Soap have passed on. Catherine Hellman passed away in 2019, I want to say, and she was the ripe age of 89. And then Robert Minden, I believe, passed in his 80s. Robert Guillaume passed away, I believe, in 2017, and he was
sounds about right.
Yeah, it was in his late 80s. But he was best known for his role of Benson Dubois in the ABC television series Soap and its spin-off Benson, as well as for voicing the mandrill Rafiki in The Lion King. I remember that well. I was a new uncle, and my nephews insisted that we have to rewind the tape and watch it over again. In a career that spanned more than 50 years, Mr. Guillaume worked extensively on stage, television, and film. For his efforts, he was nominated for a Tony Award for his portrayal of Nathan Detroit in Guys and Dolls, and twice won an Emmy Award for his portrayal of the character of Benson Dubois, once in 79 on Soap, and an 85 on Benson.
Hmm.
He also won a Grammy Award in 95 for his spoken word performance of an audiobook version of The Lion King.
Nice. So DJ,
Mhm.
I didn't spend a lot of time with soap back in the day. I was the kind of guy that, as many people know who've listened to Matinee Minutia, I was watching the hour-long dramas. But I did see a few episodes of soap, and yeah, I don't know, but I came back to it for Matinee Minutia to watch episodes that I had not seen. And the main thing I want to say about soap is that it was much smarter than the kinds of sitcoms that surrounded it at the time. Much smarter. The writing was excellent. The characterizations were really on spot. This show was above and beyond the usual nutty blah blah sitcoms of that time. And so I give it a lot of credit for that, because there was comedy, and they stayed true to trying to be a spoof of soap operas, but they brought in it, with the comedy, serious issues of the day. And they parlayed this into this mix of comedy and serious issues that was just written very smartly. So I really give it hats off to that.
Yeah, I think that soap might, well, by the time I caught it for the first time, it was in reruns, of course, but I think for a time they were featuring it on the precursor to TV Land, which was Nick at Night. What happened to Nickelodeon when the kiddos went to bed? Well, we showed the the wholesome retro shows and sometimes just nostalgic stuff like soap. But I got through the first season for the most part, and I realized that that's not as easy to come by, because the later seasons seem to be available on our favorite free service, Tubi. But if you can manage to track down the first season, it is just rife, R-I-F-E, not ripe. Nobody forgot their deodorant. It was just rife with celebrity guest appearances from the early days of their careers. And these are people that would later on get their own shows. Like in one episode, there was a court hearing, and Howard Hessman was on as an attorney, who of course would later get to be on WKRP as Johnny Fever. And then of course later on Head of the Class as I'm forgetting the teacher's name, but also the actor who played his boss on WKRP, the head of the radio station, he was the sheriff on soap.
No kidding.
It just goes on and on.
Well, it really had its day. I don't think it was ever a super sensation. It was successful enough for the network to keep it going, and certainly successful enough to get Benson going, which probably was even more successful than soap. But I do really think that this show took chances it didn't need to take, and the network, I don't know who was gaslighting them to get this on the air. I don't know, but they did. That's the important thing. They did put this on the air, and I think that's why it's so well known.
And another reason to track down the first season is you get to see young Robert Ulrich playing a tennis pro, and he's making a little money on the side, if you catch my drift.
Ah, I can't imagine. Oh, it really, it it really was groundbreaking.
Well, we are at the top of the hour here, so we're gonna sneak out here towards the lobby, and this is the part of the show where we talk about other things that you might enjoy if you liked soap. And once again, if you haven't caught soap before, and some of these 80s actors are people that you enjoy, you can go ahead and look for that series on Tubi, tubi.tv, available on all your devices in your smart TV. So, Toppy, I think I've had a small change of heart. I sometimes recommend two things when we get to this segment, but I think tonight I'm going to center on one. Now, this is inspired by soap because it itself is about a soap. I'm going to suggest if you like soap or you like spoofs on soaps, you might enjoy a film that was made in 1991. And it starred Sally Fields, Whoopi Goldberg. I think even Kevin Kline was in this, called Soap Dish. And it's about an ambitious television soap actress who connives with her producer to scuttle the career of the show's longtime star, but nothing works as they planned. And I just remember all of the promos for this were Sally Fields saying, "He died. They decapitated him. How are they bringing him back?" Soapfish from 91.
Well, I think that's an excellent choice. I was also thinking of that. I think at one point in our previous discussions, you were sort of focusing in on Mary Hartman, which I also think, if you can find it, folks, Mary Hartman was a Norman Lear production of a half-hour, comedy, but it was a spoof on soaps, and it was subliminal. I mean, it was oh my God, it was so weird that frankly it didn't last very long. But a Norman Lear production with Louise Lasser, it was called Mary Hartman, and did perfectly, in my opinion. Was a perfect comedy and spoof of soaps as they were in that day. My particular offering was also Soap Dish. And I think that's a great choice, DJ. And also I would have maybe perhaps said Tootsie, starring Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because the entire story surrounded the production of a TV soap. So those are my recommendations. I'd agree with DJ Soap Dish, and I'd say Tootsie, and I would say absolutely Mary Hartman, if you could find it, by Norman Lear. Crazy, crazy stuff.
Okay. So, Toppy, if you will, sir, look over the balcony and let us know who is here in our chat room tonight.
Well, we're really happy that Crone, the ever mysterious Cronehaven, is here. Cronehaven just asked a question: was soap before Mary H? I believe, Cronehaven, that Mary Hartman was before soap. I believe that's true. Mary Hartman predated soap. Also in the chat room is our pal Tommy Hash Browns, who comes by every week for us, and also Janet from another planet. We're so happy to see her. And who else? Lamont Cranston, I think, may have been listening in. Hi, Lamont. And our friend Maren Gertz, who always comes by. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. It wouldn't be the same without you. We're so happy you came to be with us.
Okay, so we're out here in the lobby, and as you all know, this building has a splendid history. Lots of acts came through here, vaudeville, and even a magician. Could you reach up there and grab that bag of coins for me, sir? We're going to see what's coming up next.
Let me grab your bag. I mean, the bag. Yeah.
All right, here it comes.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Shall I read this?
Yes, please go ahead and open that up.
All right. Next time, folks. Oh my God. Next time on MatMin Minutia, it's the American film noir at its best. It's Key Largo, a movie from 1948. Black and white. You're going to love it. It's a crime drama directed by the great John Huston. Get this, folks. This is who it stars. The legendary Humphrey Bogart, the legendary Edward G. Robinson, the legendary Lauren Bacall, not to mention the legendary Lionel Barrymore. And then there's Claire Trevor as the alcoholic former nightclub singer Gay Dawn. And by the way, she just happened to win the 1948 Best Supporting Actress for the Academy Award. Folks, Key Largo next time on Matinee Minutia.
Alrighty, so that will be the third Friday of the month, which is May 20th. All right, sir. Well, it's another fine spring evening with the windows cracked and the sun's been coming out a little more and the daisies are pushing themselves up. Could you do us a favor and say goodnight the way they used to on the radio?
Sure. Good night. Now I'm brain farting. Good night.
Gracie.
Oh, God. Oh. Good night, Gracie.
Thank you for listening to Matinee Minutia.
Our show streams live on the first and third Friday of the month.
Go to univazpods.net, click the tower for streaming audio. Enter Discord for our chat room.
You can find our show anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Find us on Twitter at Matinee Minutia.
Find our group on Facebook.
Or visit our webpage at matineeminutia.com.
Have an idea for a show? Or why not let us know how we're doing?
Email us at matineeminutia@gmail.com.
This has been an Olliebug production.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcast.